Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel and this is Ariel Astro Travels. Welcome back. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Astrocartography said that each of these cities would be like for me. And I'll start off with Oaxaca. It has moon energy from my IC line, and it's supposed to bring me deep emotional belonging, ancestral healing, a place where I can rest and root. It also has my Chiron in Zenith, so it's supposed to be a healing home, a transformational place that turns my wounds into medicine. It also has my Jupiter in Zenith, so it's supposed to give me joy and warmth and a feeling of being held by community. It's the best place that makes me feel like a true home base, a place of soul nourishment. And again, so this came up as my #1 top city, which I'm really excited about. As we go through this journey and I arrive at each place, I'll tell you what each place is supposed to make me feel like. And then I'll tell you what it was really like for me to be there. Oaxaca was supposed to be a true home base, a soul city. And before I got to Oaxaca, I spent a couple days just vacationing in Cancun. Right before this all happened, my soul dog passed away. I had him for 17 years. I got him in 2008. He lived for 17 beautiful years, and I was just experiencing a lot of grief. And I was grieving while I was making these decisions to completely transform my life. A tower moment, just completely shatter the base and start from scratch. So I really wanted a couple days in a familiar city. I've been to Cancun before, and like on the beach, you know, just relaxing, and it was beautiful. I loved the experience of Cancun. I loved the experience of being on a beach. I will go back as often as I can. I'm thinking about going back for my birthday or for New Year's or something. Cancun is beautiful, but it has nothing to do with my astrocartography. That was more of just like a soul aligned place that brings back a lot of memories. And then after Cancun, I arrived in Oaxaca, and I don't know if I felt that feeling of home right away. The first thing I felt was fear. Like all the fear that I made this decision, scared that I wasn't going to have a home stable base. Oaxaca has limited water supply and things are just different there. It's a small city, so there's not a lot available. And it hit me hard, like arriving into my Airbnb, which was beautiful, and experiencing everything. I'll post some clips from in real time. My first day, I experienced a earthquake, and I was like, oh yeah, of course there are earthquakes here. Like it was just... It's my first day in Oaxaca in my Mexico journey, and I came to my room to take a nap because I'm still so tired from traveling all day yesterday. And there was a 5.6 seismic earthquake. I haven't even been here 24 hours. I think it was a reality testing for me. Before I felt the feeling of home, the first thing that I felt was, oh shit, this is real. This journey is real. This decision is real. It just like all hit me. Cancun was like a dream. It was like, I'm floating in the air. Everything is fine. I'm great. I'm like getting massages and drinking fancy wine and whatever, you know, spending a day by the pool. And then Oaxaca was like, this is it. You have work tomorrow. You have to like unpack. You have to settle in. Like this is real life. This is what your life is going to be like. You're about to be a nomad. You're no longer someone that has a stable home base. And that was a huge reality check for me. I think it took about a month and a half, honestly, for me to truly start to feel the benefits of Oaxaca spiritually. And that's because I spent a lot of the first month just adjusting to being a digital nomad, just adjusting to being in a new place, just adjusting to all of the new sights and smells and foods and experiences, just adjusting to what it's like living out of Airbnbs. You know, it was a lot of adjusting that first month. I decided that I wanted to spend at least 3 months in each of the places that they recommended, because I feel like, again, it took me a month and a half to adjust. And I know that from moving before. I used to move a lot when I was in college, and I moved a lot in New York throughout. And so I know how long it takes me to get comfortable in a place. So in order to like truly get the feeling of what it's like to be in a city, I knew I would have to spend at minimum 3 months in each place. So it's not the typical digital nomad journey. It's more of a slow nomadic journey through each place. And then like I also decided that I wanted to be in different Airbnbs so I could experience different parts of the city, so that I wasn't just in the tourist area or just in the local area, but I got a sense of what different neighborhoods were like. So my first Airbnb, it was more of a like hostel-like experience because you had your room, but you had community with other solo travelers. My second Airbnb was a little bit more low key. It was more of a like hotel feel, like a long-term hotel. You had your own room, but you also had a kitchenette. And it was where I started to actually feel the Oaxacan energy. The first Airbnb in Oaxaca didn't allow me to feel lonely because I was doing so much adjusting and figuring out and learning and changing and adapting. And it was in a place where you were collaborating or passing with other solo travelers, because it was like a hostel-like Airbnb where it wasn't just you. But when I got to that second Airbnb, that's when I started to feel the solo travel loneliness, because I wasn't really interacting with as many people as I was in that first Airbnb. I had been adjusted. I started to feel the level of home, but I also started to feel really lonely. Like, oh, this journey is it's like the hermit mode. It's like there's solitude in this. You learn so much. And right before I left for this journey, I had watched Tracy Ellis Ross's solo travel special on Roku. And she had experienced loneliness in her travels, and those were shorter solo travel trips. Those were like little vacations, couple days here and there. And she experienced loneliness throughout it. And so I think it's such a normal part of this journey. She had mentioned that everyone experiences loneliness. Solo travel just turns up the volume on that loneliness. People in marriages experience loneliness. Single people experience loneliness.
And it feels a little hard for some reason. I do feel lonely tonight. I wonder if loneliness and sadness are the same thing.
What I am not afraid to do is be transparent about the reality of my humanity, because it is where we all connect. We all get lonely. It's not evidence that my life is broken. People in marriages get lonely. So it is evidence that I am a human being who lives and has feelings. And so I wasn't afraid to share that, even though I know for some people it was evidence, yeah, that's what happens when you're not in a relationship. It's probably because you're broken. Shut up. Like, you can live a stunning, gorgeous, delicious, full, robust, and wonderful life and still be lonely, and still have sadness and still have shame and heartbreak and all of those things. And the truth is, when you solo travel, the volume gets turned up on some of that, and you can hold space for yourself in that way.
So it's so normal to feel and experience loneliness when we're going through this. We're in the middle of a loneliness epidemic. It's normal that everyone is feeling loneliness to some degree. But yeah, so I do agree with her that solo travel does turn up the volume on that feeling of loneliness, because you have nothing to hide behind. You can't hide behind your normal routines. You can't hide behind the city that you're familiar with. Like, I felt like I was so busy in Philly. I was so busy in New York that I didn't feel as much loneliness. I felt a little bit more in Philly. I think I experienced that more just because of how harsh the energy of the city was on me and my spirit. But in New York, I never felt lonely. It's such a busy city. I was friends with my neighbors. I had community. Like, I didn't experience loneliness, even though I was alone a lot. I loved my alone time. But it feels different when you're experiencing alone time in a new place. And that feeling of loneliness is something that I'm still learning to get used to. It made me think about my childhood and make me reflect on my experience with loneliness. And I really started to understand that loneliness does not mean that something is wrong with you, or that you're a failure, or that you need to be in a relationship. Like I used to run from that feeling of loneliness and chase people and things and relationships and connections and friendships with people, places, and things that I had no business being involved with, that weren't in alignment with me. And some people even do this digital nomad journey. Some people even do this solo travel journey to run away from being lonely. Their idea of traveling the world and being a world traveler, they think that it's going to help them escape that feeling of being lonely. But the reality is, if you are gonna feel lonely, it don't matter if you're in the most beautiful place ever, with the most beautiful background ever, loneliness will follow you. And loneliness has followed me my entire life. I've gotten comfortable with loneliness. I have made beds with loneliness. I've befriended loneliness. I've also had times where I've shunned loneliness and I've hated it and I avoided it. But right now, I think the biggest lesson that I learned from Oaxaca is how to sit with, love on, experience, make space for the feeling of loneliness. No matter where you are, there you are, right? No matter where you are, that experience of loneliness is going to return. And I realized that it wouldn't kill me. It wasn't the worst thing ever. Like I spent my whole life running from it and trying to avoid it. And then when I experienced it in this new place, I was like, okay, like I'm lonely. So what? Of course I am. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong. It just means that I'm a person and I'm human and I have human experiences and I can feel lonely no matter where I am, no matter who's around me, and no matter what I'm experiencing. Human emotions are going to happen. Loneliness, anger, sadness, frustration, grief, you name it. The emotions are going to come, and I felt all of that while I was in Oaxaca. So I will share different video clips, video journals, things that I experienced, things that I got into. I got massages. I ate beautiful food, delicious foods. Oaxacan food is so good, and it's one of the food capitals of Mexico. I took food tours. I, did Airbnb experiences. I hiked petrified waterfalls. I made community with other queer people. I made community with other solo travelers. I really just did so much in the span of 3 months, and Oaxaca will always have a special place in my heart, in my life. And I can't right now say if it'll be the city that I decide to stay in or that I decide to move to, but I can say that there was something homey and healing about this place. I offered a lot to the land. I offered a lot to the community. I got to connect with other queer people in Oaxaca. And that I think the community that I built there, the feeling that I had there, I don't think I've experienced anywhere. I've been looking for that sense of community since college, really. The last time I felt that level of community was college. And that's when we're all living in the same place. We all have the same schedule. But with Oaxaca, it felt so easy to build community. Outside of that one Airbnb where I experienced loneliness, the other two experiences, community was so easy. In Soltero, which is the first Airbnb experience, it was so easy to find community and make friends. And then same thing with Casita Queer. It was easy to build community and find friends and do things. It was only when I was in that middle Airbnb experience where it was a beautiful Airbnb, so comfortable, but it was really isolating. And I think it was the perfect thing. Like all three of them had very different experiences for me, but all three of them were exactly what I needed to experience there. Like, what would it feel like to not have community there? What would it feel like to have community? What would it feel like, right? Like I got to experience everything. And I'm excited for my next destination, the next places that I will go to. If you're seeing my background, you could already see where I'm landing next, but that will be the hint for my next YouTube video. So stay tuned. What do people say on YouTube? Like, subscribe, something like that. Like and subscribe if you're interested in following along with this journey. And I'm so happy that you're here. If you have any questions, just post them in the chat and I'll answer them when I can. I'm so interested to see if anyone else can relate to the experiences that I had. And I will also share some recommended places, things to do, experiences from Oaxaca that I think would be helpful for other folks who are interested in traveling there. So thanks for joining. See you later. Bye.